Hey guys, welcome back to Imagine Blue. We're back to discuss a film that's kind of a hot topic at the moment, and that is A24's Everything Everywhere All at Once, directed by Daniels, starring Michelle Yeoh and a bunch of other talented people. You guys know that I love this film. I haven't been able to stop talking about it, but now I'm excited to kind of really delve deep into it with you guys and see what you guys thought about it since you just watched it and I've seen it like twice already because I saw it once early and I just saw it again. But yeah, what are your guys' initial thoughts?
Man, this is a wacky movie.
Real zany.
Real zany. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun time at the movie theaters. What about you?
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'll go last.
I definitely loved it. It was my first time watching it. I watched it yesterday, April 7th, and I loved it. I can confidently say it's probably my favorite movie of 2022.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I probably a lot of like my love for it has to do with like recency bias. Because like when I first saw it, it really affected me. I was like emotional even walking out of the theater. Like I watched it with my boyfriend and I couldn't even like talk to him about it or discuss it yet because I was like just trying to like keep it together while I was walking to the car. But I loved it. I think wacky is a very apt way to explain it. It's zany. It's like you're watching the Looney Tunes. It's absurd. It's absurd humor.
Yes.
And it's also just very well made. I think the passion and just the love shows through with everyone who was involved in the film. And it was just really obvious to me, which was one of the big reasons I loved it. It just reminded me why I love film.
Yeah, it definitely touches on things that are happening now and like things that have been happening, like generational trauma. Again, that's like a great topic to have in a film, I think. And also just us like being at home, trying to do a bunch of things. And I think it just really shows importance of like being here in the moment now and being with your family too. And especially that mother-daughter relationship, that definitely had an impact on me. And it was a tearjerker, guys. I cried.
Oh yeah, I cried so much it like gave me a headache.
Oh yeah, it definitely tugs on your heartstrings. Apparently, I mean, definitely at the end. But
I mean, if you have maternal trauma, it hits different.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What did you guys think about the action? Because this movie was really action heavy.
Yes.
And that was something that was like contributed to a lot of the fun, especially during like throughout the movie, pretty much. What did you guys think about that?
Let me tell you, the scenes with the dildos and the butt plugs.
Oh yeah.
A1. It was hilarious.
I just really want to give props to the whole stunt team. They're kind of like local heroes because I've been saying like they are based in Westminster and we're all from Southern California. So it's like really great to see like just, kind of small town guys like build their way up and like make it kind of big time on the big screen. And they killed it. I don't know, the guys in that scene with the butt plugs, those two guys are like kind of the leaders of that stunt team. And we can like maybe put an overlay with their names because I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But like, yeah, they killed it. I love them. And it's funny because it's like the scene with the butt plugs, you like literally are like cringing, but it's also like you're in delight, like it's super funny, but you're distracted because it's actually like a very well done fight scene. So it's like kind of crazy. You're like, what do I concentrate on?
It was literally like one of those. There are a few times in movies where I'm like, what am I watching? What am I watching right now? And that definitely is one of those times.
I also love the fight scene in The Office where she kind of honed in on the pizza sign spinning skills. I really love any type of, that's very old school, like kung fu movie to be able to use like a bunch of random props as weapons. I love that homage to like all the great kung fu movies, like, before our time and all that. So yeah, literally it's just another example of like just a detail of the movie, just a part of the movie where like a lot of work went into it and like I just have to appreciate it.
I miss that style of action because we haven't had that in a long time.
With long cuts.
The Jackie Chan style.
Yeah.
All of that. It's like, it definitely harkens back to those films, and I love those films. And
Yeah.
this was a great reminder of them.
I really
Yeah, I
liked that they did a lot of like traditional Chinese aspects, like you were saying, Crystal, and the stances and whatnot. All of that really plays a part into, especially because I'm Chinese, you know, like that's my
yeah.
culture. Like it really, it's nice to see that representation and them bringing it back into this really great film.
Yeah, it was legit fight choreo. It was just legit kung fu. Like I you love to see it. I love to see it.
Hmm. Hmm. And then the you guys talked about like the emotion of this movie. How did that like? How did you feel? Because it honestly like it kind of sneaks up on you a little bit. Because the way that this movie starts, and you're thrown into like this really crazy action, like, oh, this random woman who works at a laundromat is gonna be responsible for saving the universe or the multiverse, actually. And
I
the
Mhm.
the emotion kind of is in the background, but then it kind of sneaks up on you the more you get into the film.
I was kind of hooked emotionally, like at the very start of the film. I don't
Mm.
know, it might have just been me, like maybe I saw like a part of myself in Evelyn, the main character, but when she's in the laundromat and she's kind of like wistfully watching the romantic like Bollywood film on the TV of the laundromat, just even right now thinking about it, I'm like getting a little emotional, but like thinking about the way without any lines, like just looking at Michelle Yeoh's face as she's like staring at the screen and that kind of like, oh, like maybe in a different life, or like I'm not happy here, or this and that, like a million different emotions just like cross her face, and like that kind of got me choked up already. And like I didn't have any idea like how crazy the film was gonna get. So like at that point already I was like primed, like, okay, this might get a little heavy later on. And like, dude, I didn't even really know, like,
Yeah.
because it did get like crazier.
I'm with Crystal. I also got hooked in the very beginning. Especially like I think this is very like representative of immigrants and them coming to like US for a better life, and you know all of that toll and them trying to show up their family and make sure, you know, they are living their best life. That really hits home for me. Like my family immigrated here and, you know, they started their own business and whatnot. And, you know, having the laundromat also be your home
Mm.
is also reflective of that too. And I think what really got me is when like Evelyn was she went to the multiverse for the first time. She saw her life without her husband and she came back and she was like, I saw my life without you and it was beautiful. And I was like, fuck. Like that just that hurts. Like
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of, and that's something I want to touch on too, is like the dialogue is so good in this film. It's so succinct and simple. Like it's never like intense monologues. I mean, there are some like long scenes and like back and forth and things like that, but it's just very like simple. And it hits home. Like for me, like the delivery, like every actor brought their A game, and like the strongest performances I've seen in a long time. It just felt very real. Like the fact that such like intense stuff is happening with like, you know, the actual like sci-fi part of it, it still feels very grounded when it comes to dealing with the family stuff and like dealing with the idea of like nihilism and
Mm.
things like that, because they just bring it all home with the dialogue, in my opinion.
yeah. How did you feel about it, OC?
The I you talked about how the performances were really good, and the person who plays the main the husband, um what's the actor's name? He's in the he's Short Round from
Keith,
Indiana
I think
Jones,
his name's
And the Goonies.
and he's Data from the Goonies. Yeah. And so it's interesting because he hasn't been acting in such a long time, and he was his performance was great in this film. Like you could really feel he's like a person. He has this what feels like a facade of happy-go-lucky personality that puts on for everyone else, but inside he's like his heart is breaking all the time
Yeah.
because he feels the pain of Evelyn, but he doesn't really know what to do. about it, and he doesn't
It's
really
crazy because
know.
you could see it. It's like not just in the dialogue, it's with their body language and
Yeah.
like everything else. The way the home is
Yeah.
like organized, what he does for her.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of body language, I saw a tidbit about the work that Key did to prepare for the role of Waymond and Alpha Waymond, because I mean he's basically playing like multiple different roles, as are all of them, which is a
Yeah.
feat in itself.
Yeah, everyone is impressive. Both
so
of them are impressive. In
I'm sure they all went through similar preparation, but he worked with like a body language coach, and they were like, okay, we're gonna base your body language for each of these characters on like animals, and when you're Waymond from like the first universe, you're gonna be like kind of emulating a squirrel, and then when you're Alpha Waymond, you're gonna emulate like a lion or something, some kind of like predator, maybe, I don't remember. And then when you are Waymond from the universe where Evelyn is like a movie star, you're going to emulate a fox. It's like, dang, that's pretty obvious now that I look back on the film. Like, wow, like, you know, and that just shows like that there was a tremendous amount of teamwork involved, preparation, detail, and just so much stuff went into it that I can't believe it was made. Like, I'm so thankful that a film like this was made.
Agreed.
Agreed for sure. This is an interesting movie, especially with a movie like Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness on the horizon right now. It's interesting. It seems like we're kind of entering into a new realm of filmmaking where there's so much creativity in this film that I so appreciated. There's so much creativity in how they executed the storyline, how different elements of the story came together. I'm curious how that's going to impact like movie making, at least for the time being, because it seems like because we just had No Way Home, the other multiverse things are all Marvel, but even now we're kind of getting outside of the Marvel universe with some of this multiverse ideas, and so it's interesting to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's super, especially this film, I want to say, can also act as a basis for all other multiverse films, because this is like a very, very confusing, complicated topic. You know, you have the multiverse, and then
I doubt Multiverse of Madness is going to be as crazy as this movie was.
You never know. You say that now.
I doubt. I mean, we'll see it, but I doubt it.
But they're combining like this complicated topic and for the masses, you know, for the general public, and they're, you know, combining it with this comedic element. And you're right, it's like super wacky, but it's also like super complicated. I don't know what other word to like describe it as.
And heartfelt.
Yeah.
And then as far as like how it could affect filmmaking, I hope it does change things for the better, maybe encouraging like bigger studios to take risks on more ambitious and creative and interesting stories and projects. A24 has been killing it for the longest. Like, all of their projects are pretty out there. I honestly think they've made weirder films. And I don't know, like, I just hope that we see more projects like this that make people more interested in just like weird ideas.
Yeah.
But also I feel like they were kind of like forced to be creative too, like budget wise. Like, this is like not even, it's just a very small fraction of like a Marvel budget. And they were filming over like the quarantine. So like sometimes the actors weren't even in the same room. I think one of the scenes where Waymond and Evelyn are in the trailer talking to each other, they're not even in the same car, which is like crazy. Like, they really had to do their best, like with editing and this and that, just to make it look like things were authentically happening in real time, which is, you know, a necessary evil they had to deal with. But yeah, I mean, and then the creativity showed out in like so many little ways too. Like, costume and set design, like the laundromat, their house above the laundromat that had like all that like house clutter. It looked very lived in. And then you go to a different universe and like that all looks very authentic. And their costumes, like Evelyn looked so average. Like she looked exactly like one of my friend's moms. And I was like, dude, like I feel like I'm watching my friend's mom on the screen. And it felt like I felt like seen. I felt like me and my friends are like being seen, and our stories with like our parents who like immigrated here. It's just it's a very engaging story to us, and it feels like it's made for us. And that's like another big thing, I guess, maybe why it hit different for myself and others.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. This is a show. Like my mom speaks Cantonese and Mandarin. Like this is not a show. This is a movie that I want her to watch too, because she could also enjoy it. Like most of the dialogue, or maybe half of the dialogue, is in Canto and Mandarin, and like hearing that on the screen, because Cantonese is not, rarely used in American film. So hearing that on the screen, and like when I was in the theater and I heard it, I was like, oh my God, like that's Cantonese. Like I can't believe they're speaking in this language.
It's interesting because as somebody who doesn't speak either of those languages, I was the way that they jumped back and forth between Cantonese and Mandarin and then English it forced you to like hang on every single word, because they would do the subtitles and you'd like read it, but then all of a sudden they'd switch to English, and so you're kind of like going back and forth between reading it and then listening to what they're saying in your mind, and it kind of forces I don't know that many movies or shows where they seem to do that intentionally, like, because if they want you to, I feel like most of the time they'll stick to one language is what
And
what
then
I've
they'll
experienced.
talk with like an accent.
Yeah, they'll stick to one language, and then if they'll switch to English, then they'll stay there like that for a while. But this was back and forth. Like you had to be quick, and you had to. I think that some of my anime watching has kind of helped me at least switching back and forth. But this was really good. I enjoyed it.
It kind of preps you for the rest of the movie, because I mean things happen just like whip fast, and like it's like a roller coaster for sure. Your head's spinning a lot of the times. Like the pace is punishing in the beginning, I think, like very quick, but it doesn't feel like a chore to keep up with it, because it's all enjoyable. Like every aspect to me is enjoyable. The rewatchability is there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And yeah,
one thing I forgot to touch on too that this film also includes is that it's very modern, in the sense where it discusses like modern day problems or things that are affecting families today, which like younger generation or maybe even older generation, where they don't accept like LGBTQ or whatnot, and really just breaching that bridge where you have to like talk to your grandparents or tell your family, this is how I am. That's also an important topic, and especially not, universally recognized within the Asian community, I feel like.
Yeah, and even if it's not a movie you can take your whole family to, like maybe, I'm sure that's difficult in these times. It still can give people in similar situations like the type of closure that they may not be getting like in their real life too, which is nice. Like, because when you're at the cinema, you want to be involved with the story, you want to be engaged, and sometimes like when you watch a movie like this, it can be cathartic, it can be comforting.
Yeah, but all in all, really, really, like, it's amazing. I love it. I'm not going to stop talking about it.
I just want to, I mean, all the performances are good. Michelle Yeoh goes without saying. Key was great as Waymond. The daughter was fantastic. I wasn't sure in the beginning. She's a newcomer. And there was just some choices she made with her performance in the beginning where I was like iffy. But near the end, she killed it. I love her. And Jamie Lee Curtis is also incredibly funny. Like I didn't even know she could be that funny, but I loved her.
And I don't know if you remember, the daughter is from Shang-Chi. She's like their friend, Aquafina's friend, as well as Simu Liu's friend. And I don't know if you remember,
they're having dinner with.
Yes, they eat, and then they're telling her the story, and she's like, "You guys are crazy," and then but that's her.
That's cool.
I
That's
love
cool.
that. I love the common threads between like Asian-led films now because you have like same stunt guys and like you have the same friend girl and she's the daughter. That's cool. I love this like sense of community that's going on too with like these Asian-led films and whatnot, you know, and the diversity that's happening in the filmmaking industry right now.
Yeah.
Anything else to touch on?
I think that's it. I mean, let us know your thoughts, guys. Comments if you guys liked it, if you didn't, and if you didn't, why? Because how dare you? But don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah,
Right.
and you can have a conversation with us in the comments too. Like, I'm down to talk to you guys about it. Maybe we'll do another video on it. I can't even get my thoughts in order with this movie because so much happened, but I'm not done talking about it.
Yes. And also, you know what? I might take that back. I looked her up, and she doesn't have Shang-Chi on her list, so yeah.
We can edit that out. I know she has a huge theater background, so props to her for like making it in her first big lead role.
Oh, wait, no, she is in there. Okay. I lied.
We're good.
She is.
We're
All right.
good.
All right, on that note.
All right, all Asians don't look alike.
On that note.
She is in there, confirmed.
All right.
All right.
All right. Bye,
Peace.
guys.